everyone. I'm Sunny.
I'm Rachel.
And I'm Rox, and this is
Literature on the Rocks.
Summary.
Summary.
You know what? I'm just going to do both every time.
There's
Okay, that works.
no right one. Just doesn't feel like it's complete without both.
No, right? How are you guys doing?
Fabulous.
So good.
Good. Glad to hear it.
I do have a question for you guys.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay, and maybe for all audiobook listeners. So I
excited.
recently had a situation where
This is getting serious, a situation.
Yeah.
where I'm listening to this book in the car and I get a phone call. And then I have
Yeah. Tell me about it, please. What's your situation?
And then I have this moment where I'm watching the phone call come through, but I'm also listening to this book that's also getting good. And now I have to make a decision. Do I answer the phone call or do I just keep listening? Because this is my only time, really.
I know
And
what you
I'm
chose. I
deep
do
in
know
thought.
what you chose.
And I'm deep into it. So am I the only one in the world who has this conundrum? Because I feel like, I'm like, man.
Do you want to tell him what you did, though?
Listen, Linda.
What you chose to do in that moment?
I do want to have this conversation with this person. I want to be able to answer the phone call. But also, I'm deep into this book and it's finally getting good. I chose not to answer the phone. And then I sent a text like an hour later. I was deep in this book. I couldn't stop right then. This was my only chance. I'm sorry. Do you guys have this conundrum or do you just go, I guess I'll get to that book later and then answer the phone?
I think it depends on the book I'm reading, who's calling, where I'm at in life. Like,
Yeah.
Where I'm at in my current financial situation. Where's the market at?
yeah, exactly.
The economy.
Exactly. Yes, all the things.
Multiple
it's definitely
factors.
not like, doesn't matter, I'm not answering or I'm always answering. I would say more times than not, I'm probably answering.
Okay.
But there are definitely times when I'm like, I'll call them later.
Yeah.
I only chose to call her later because I knew it was just like a commute home
Yeah.
chit chat. So I was like, I love you, but I'm so close to finishing this book. And I even sat in my car in the garage while my child slept because I was like, I only got like 10 more minutes. You can take a nap. Let me finish it. So, yeah. Sorry, Rachel.
It's okay.
But anyways, thank you for making me feel not terrible, but also kind of terrible.
Well, I will add, I would never ignore your phone call.
Wow. Wow.
Just kidding. I might have already.
There have been times where I normally answer.
Yeah, I think
If it's one of you two, I normally answer.
I do normally answer, okay?
do.
There
You
has
do.
been many occasions where I'm like, damn, this book is getting good, but okay.
Yeah.
All right, Rach.
Yeah.
What's going on, girl?
I normally listen while I drive.
Yeah.
At least the big chunks of me listening is while I drive. But
Yes.
I also get into some shit at home and throw headphones in and listen while I do things.
Yeah. I
But
struggle to do that, but yes.
After I put down my kid for bed and I'll go downstairs and like close the kitchen, wash the dishes, do all the things, I
Closing
usually have headphones in my ear. Okay,
Yeah.
so let's get into this cocktail. So we are deep diving today, Lessons in Chemistry by Bonnie Garmus. Our cocktail, we are calling it the Zott Toddy because the character's last name is Zott. Ingredients, we're doing 2 ounces of bourbon, 3/4 an ounce elderflower liqueur, 3/4 of an ounce fresh lemon juice, a 1/2 ounce lavender honey syrup, or just lavender syrup if you don't have lavender honey syrup, and a dash of orange bitters. You shake it, you strain it. So we decided the book is very I am woman.
Hear me roar.
Yes. Yes. And so we wanted something that was like a cocktail that was kind of tended to be more masculine, but adding some feminine touches, hence the bourbon with the elderflower and lavender. And then we got these cute little beakers. All right.
We are
are we?
cocktail scientists.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Bitches.
Ooh, that slaps you, but that's
actually really
good.
Okay, it does have hot toddy taste without the
Tea
Hot?
and the hotness.
Yeah.
I mean, it doesn't have ice because of the necks of these beakers, but so yeah,
Yeah, it's
But it is-
lukewarm toddy.
doesn't have the saying ring to it.
And it doesn't
Come and
have
get
a
your
ton
room temp toddy.
It's very old-fashioned-y. But like sweet.
Yes.
Yes, because of the
Lavender syrup.
the lavender syrup, and then
It's very citrusy.
As
It
someone
is.
who loves an old-fashioned,
It's pretty good.
I like it. But
Yeah,
as
it's
people who
good.
don't drink them as often, not that you guys don't like them, but do you like this?
I do. I really like
bourbon.
this. I do
or
like
whiskey.
bourbon.
Yeah.
I just don't typically drink drink it straight. It's not my drink of choice because a lot of times when I'm drinking, it's socially and I'm going to be drinking more than just one.
Yeah,
And
you
I
don't
feel
do
like-
5 in a night.
No, I'm not.
That's
I'm
odd.
not diehard like
I
you.
don't know why you wouldn't do that. That sounds like a good time.
I wish you would do that at least once a year.
It made for a great rock. Maybe not the next day. I
No,
understand.
No,
I'm
I
going, like-
understand the feeling, but maybe 3. I feel like 4 would have been your sweet spot. I'll give you some.
No.
I had the magnesium supplements that had liquid IV-esque things that I was prepared. I had Tylenol.
I brought all of that, but I was.
I would have
not.
made sure
I
you,
don't like going
you were
to the night
doctored
like,
up.
I want to take this tomorrow.
Yeah.
I want to need the liquid IV tomorrow.
No,
Yeah,
you
when I
don't
go
need
in.
it tomorrow. What you do is you get home and you drink it and take the Tylenol. So when you wake up,
It's good.
fresh as a daisy.
And
Yes.
you only have diarrhea.
A little bit.
All right. Hit
Let's
us with
get
an
into it.
Author bio of Bonnie Garmus.
All right, so Bonnie Garmus is an American author who always dreamed of writing novels. She wrote her first novel, quote unquote, at just 5 years old. It
Shut the fuck up, Bonnie.
It was 1 page. And she was 5, but yeah, it was 1 page and it wasn't anything, but it was her first quote unquote
Is
story.
she mad?
Listen,
Madeline?
Son is 5 and can't.
Right,
Right,
a
isn't
one
that
page.
wild?
It's really wild.
That's
Yes.
advanced. She
That's
was an
really
advanced,
advanced.
child.
Yes. And another at 12.
Which is maybe why she thought a 6-year-old could be going to the library and
Maybe
doing
she
all
was
these things.
Asking for fucking
Seriously.
Tolstoy.
Yeah, right.
She wrote another story at 12 and then went on to study English and creative writing in college. But like many aspiring writers, life took her in different directions, and she spent decades building a successful career as a copywriter and a creative director in advertising and technology. She was living and working through the United States and Europe, all while continuing to write fiction whenever she could. She published her first debut novel at 65 years old.
Damn.
Yeah, 65 was her debut novel, and it was Lessons in Chemistry.
You know what? That
If that's not a never give up, which I talk about later, but to just
Yes.
chase your dreams.
yes, just
yes.
like what Elizabeth did, like on her show with that
was
woman
young.
in the crowd.
Yes,
Oh.
exactly.
Like it doesn't matter what age you are, pursue your passions now.
Yes.
You'll
Yeah.
hear about that later in this podcast.
Yes.
Yes.
So the book became an international bestseller and was later adapted into an Apple TV series starring Brie Larson. So Bonnie has often said that writing was never a backup plan. It was simply a dream that took a little longer to reach.
Aw.
Yeah. So today, Bonnie lives in London with her husband. Outside of writing, she enjoys rowing, open
Hell
water
yeah,
swimming.
she does. Get it, Bonnie.
She does talk about that in the podcast afterwards. Yeah,
that
yeah,
she
yeah.
is a rower, and that's kind of where she got the inspiration
Yeah.
from it. But
She
she,
didn't need to
also
do research for it because she knew it firsthand. Yeah.
Yes, and spending time with her dog 99. Her second novel is going to be Peck and Peck, and is scheduled to release in October of 2026. But it's a story set in the publishing world of the 1980s New York City. And it follows an aspiring writer navigating ambition, creativity, and the complicated world of literary magazines.
I hope it's still from a women's perspective, like fighting through
Yeah.
the man's
She did
world.
a really good job showing what.
She said she
women
did a lot of
potentially dealt
research
with.
for like the 1950s era. Fitting next chapter for an author who proved that it's never too late to chase the dream you've had all along.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so let's get into the book summary. So, Elizabeth Zott is a brilliant chemist in the 1960s who is constantly underestimated simply because she's a woman. After life takes an unexpected turn, she finds herself hosting a daytime cooking show where she begins teaching far more than recipes, using chemistry, science, and common sense to challenge the expectations placed on women. It's a story about resilience, love, grief, motherhood, and refusing to let other people define your worth. While it has plenty of humor and heart, it's really about one woman quietly changing the lives of everyone around her by refusing to accept the status quo.
All right.
Here we
so
go.
now we're going to jump in. We're going to break this thing down. My chapters are chapters 1 through 9. Starting 1961, 30-year-old Elizabeth Zott packs lunch for her daughter, Madeline. Although only being 5, Madeline is an advanced reader and she wants to fit in at school, so she pretends to be illiterate like her peers. She sees that her mother has suffered all her life due to not fitting in. Elizabeth kisses Madeline goodbye before heading to the TV studio to shoot her show Supper at 6. So Elizabeth used to be a research chemist and was discovered because a child named Amanda Pine was consistently eating Madeline's school lunches. So basically, Madeline was like, I am going to share my lunch with my friend Amanda because she doesn't have any lunches. She's the only one who I will share with because her lunches are like fabulous.
Yeah.
Elizabeth meticulously prepares Madeline's lunches. Elizabeth pays a visit to Amanda's father, who's Walter Pine, to like berate him. She's like, are you Amanda's daughter? She's stealing my daughter's lunch. Be better. You're a shitty dad.
Yeah, like cook her some actual food that's going to be good for her.
Yes. And then Walter is stunned by her beauty and her presence and knowledge. We go backwards in time to January 1952. Calvin Evans and Elizabeth Zott both work at Hastings Research Institute. Calvin was a science prodigy, and he has his own lab, and like people just fawn over him because he's a genius.
It's like a famous
Since
scientist.
he was young, yes. He's also a rower, and the only thing he's passionate about besides chemistry is rowing. He accepted a position at Hastings because the weather was most conducive to rowing. The pair meet when Elizabeth barges into his lab, and she's like, I need these beakers. And he's like, those are my beakers. And she's like, I will be taking them. We need beakers. And then people are all freaking out about it because he can hold such a grudge. You took these beakers from Calvin? I can't believe you. And they like, make a big stink about it.
Yes.
So then he assumes she's a secretary, and it like enrages Elizabeth. And Elizabeth overhears her boss and others bad mouthing her. Her boss calls her, see you next Tuesday. Her boss just calls her a straight up cunt. He doesn't spell it out like this. Which, when I was listening to the book, was a little bit jarring. Like, oh my gosh, she overheard her boss calling their something horrible. And then she goes into telling the story like the only time she has heard anyone else call her this was this time back when she was in UCLA. And then the story flashes back to that time. While working on her master's graduation, she was sexually assaulted by her advisors. And like he tried to rape her, and she stabs him with a number 2 pencil. And then when the police come to do a report, they don't believe her. Like the professor tells this story about how she came in wanting a better grade
And offered to sleep with him.
Yes. And when I said no, she stabbed me with a pencil. And I think they even say, like, they don't really believe his story because this is not the first time it's happened. But also, he's a professor. And we're
so the
taking his
cops
side.
are just like, are you sure you don't want to apologize? And she's like, for
Oh,
what?
yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. She's like, I'm not apologizing to that man.
It's like the first time I started getting really upset in this book. There's a
Yes.
number of times when I was pissed off listening to this book.
Yes.
And this was probably the first time. I was a little bit irritated that Calvin thought she was a receptionist, but then when it goes into this story, I'm like, oh, I would be livid. And what's crazy is I think that this stuff still happens today.
It absolutely
100%.
does.
Like, we're not going to trust you? What? Oh, it's just whatever. Okay, so anyways, the advisor spread a story that she was caught cheating. Her admission to the doctoral program was rescinded. They kicked her out of school because of this.
She was about to get her doctorate, and then she didn't even get into the program because
Well,
of all
she
of it.
was getting her master's.
Yeah, and then she applied for the doctorate
She
program.
was going to go into the doctorate program. But she was also like self-taught and like tested into the master's
Yes.
program. So she doesn't actually hold a degree, but she's super fucking smart.
Absolutely.
She's very smart, yeah. For that reason, too, she's like this entry-level kind of person at Hastings, but she is helping all of the other people.
Like the head people, she's giving them notes and fixing their work. And
Yes.
Yeah.
So following the Beaker incident, Elizabeth is moved to a low-level study because they're like, you embarrassed us.
how could you do that to thee, Calvin?
Calvin, yeah, exactly. One evening, she runs into Calvin at the theater. He runs out, and he runs into her in the lobby. He's sick, and then he throws up
On her.
on her. Yeah,
Yeah.
and she helps him home. And then Calvin apologizes for throwing up on her and thinking she was a secretary. And he had wanted to apologize for some time, but couldn't really find her. So then after this night, they start meeting for coffee, and they have these conversations where it's like, you don't realize what I'm going through just simply because I'm a woman. And he's like, well, then let me help you. So their relationship grows, and they end up loving each other deeply. And they talk about everything, but they kind of keep their families a secret because they're both ashamed of whatever their past is.
Yeah.
Just before Thanksgiving, they talk about, let's go to your family's house for Thanksgiving. And she's like, well, here's the conversation. I don't have a family. They each explained that their painful past, or what their painful past was with their families. Calvin's parents died when he was 5 in a car accident. And then the aunt took over raising him, and then died 2 years later. So then he was put into a Catholic boys' home and raised there. Elizabeth's father was a swindler who preached about the apocalypse. He was a freaking actor, and he just sold people.
He was
the
like
apocalypse
what
is
do they call
coming.
him?
You
A
should-
snake oil seller?
He could sell
A
anything.
snake oil
Yeah.
seller is a historic term for a huckster who travels to peddle fake, worthless, or harmful medical cures.
Yeah, and I don't think he wasn't like selling medical cures, but he was
selling amulets and stuff too, like
protect
to
people
protect
from
your
their
soul.
apocalypse.
yes, from the
Yeah.
apocalypse. Which
Yes.
same.
So yeah, but he could, and boy, could he sell an apocalypse. Like the apocalypse is coming, and people believed him. They'd follow him to the end of the earth and buy whatever he was selling.
If he wanted to start a cult, he probably could have been very
for sure.
successful as a cult leader.
He even sold baptisms to protect against the end of the world, which is wild. But
Yes.
anyways, she also had an older brother who was gay. And when his parents found out he was gay, they like ridiculed him. And of
And they tried to
course-
send him to like a camp.
Like a reform school. Like
Yeah.
a reform program.
Well, and the dad was selling God to people and
Yeah.
save your soul. What good is it going to do if I have a
Gay
a
son?
son who's gay? And so the brother / son committed suicide. And so she kind of felt like it was her fault a little bit about it because she knew, and
Like how can she
Couldn't
didn't know
save
how?
him.
Yeah.
Calvin and Elizabeth are envied by their colleagues. Like so crazy that like the things that they're saying about them and their relationship, that because she's beautiful, that's why Calvin's, finally he's going to get a girlfriend. And because she wants,
Using him for his fame is what they think.
because she wants the money, she's a gold digger. So that's why she's with him. Eventually they move in together. She offers to cook because she can't afford it. He knows what her salary is and he knows that she can't afford it, but she offers to pay for it. And he's like, no, you don't have to pay for it. And she's like, how about I cook 5 dinners a week in lieu of rent money? And he agrees to it. And now he comes and she starts cooking him lunch too. He starts showing up with these fabulous lunches.
Well, and they have lunch together every day,
Yeah.
which is what like everyone in like goes into the cafeteria and then they're like whispering like, "Oh, there's that couple again."
Yeah. Well, they're fabulous lunches because
Ugh.
they're too good for
And they're so happy.
cafeteria. Yeah,
I'm
exactly.
so angry that they're so happy.
But he finds out things, right? He finds out how much she's getting paid, and he's like, "That's less than anybody else. Like because you're a woman, everyone else, and you're smarter than most of the people here, but you're getting paid the least." And he doesn't tell her these things, but he starts to suggest, like, maybe you come work for me. But she refuses to work at Calvin's lab because she believes it'll delineate her work from his. Like she even talks about she doesn't want to be married or have children. She feels like, if I get married, I have to take your name, and I don't want to take your name. I want to be successful on my own accord, and if I have your name, people are going to be like, I'm not going to be Elizabeth Zott. I'm going to be Calvin's wife.
Miss Calvin Evans. Like I won't be myself anymore, and I
Yeah.
don't want to merge and lose who I am.
Yeah.
Yes.
When they send things, it's Mr. and Mrs. husband's name.
Although
Yes.
I did see a reel the other day, and it was like when the bride and groom are like their announcement walking into their reception, and I was like Mr. and Doctor, and it announced the woman as Doctor, and I was
that's
like,
cool.
hell yeah.
Yeah, that's cool. But yeah, you like totally lose your name when they start addressing things now. It's Mr. and Mrs.
And I think if I'm someone who wants to be recognized for my brain and my work and written in history as Elizabeth Zott was the one who discovered this biology, so-and-so, whatever, like I can understand why that would be hard to do because everyone's going to associate me with you. And I don't want that.
I think I got it because of you when I
Yes.
want it to be because of me.
Yes. And because I'm smart and capable.
Yes.
But he ends up buying her a ring anyways. But she refuses his proposal when Calvin suggests they get a big dog because he also wants kids. And she's like, I told you I don't want kids.
None of this is anything I want.
I
We
don't
talked
wanna
about
be a
this at length.
homemaker. I don't want to stay at home and raise children and cook you dinner every day. I want to have a career. I will cook
And
you
I don't
dinner,
think
but I
he
want a career.
expects all that, but he does want a family and a child.
Yeah, sure.
Because he doesn't have one.
Right. And he was excited to be with somebody who had a family because he was going to finally have a family. And now she doesn't have a family either. Well, let's make a family of her own, but she doesn't want that.
So they settle on a dog.
Yeah, so they settle on a dog. And then a month later, a mangy dog follows Elizabeth home. She names him 6:30, which is the time they first notice him. So 6:30 is basically officially the time he became a part of the family. And so his name is 6:30. 6:30 is an unusually intelligent dog, like very smart. They don't know, but he used to be a canine bomb sniffer, but was kicked out due to being scared of the bomb sounds, which obviously is not a very good bomb sniffer.
He finds them, but then is afraid of them.
Yes.
He does very well off leash, and Calvin starts taking him to work. Calvin decides Elizabeth should learn to row. She initially refuses, but eventually she goes, and she hates it. And then he starts talking to her about the momentum and the science behind it and how this is what you want to try and do in order to be good at. And then all of a sudden she's obsessed with it and she loves it.
But I love the part right before, and he's like, why, Elizabeth? Why? And she's like, girls don't row. And he was like, I'm sorry, what just came out of your mouth? And she was like, I'll be ready in the morning.
So he teaches her how to erg, and everyone at the row house marvels at her when she is introduced.
Also, though, he was like a rowing sensation as well. Like
everyone wanted him on the team, and then he decided not to be on a team because people didn't want a woman on the team, but he wanted
to row with
Elizabeth
her.
to row with him.
And when she first walked into the row house, they were like, Calvin has a partner. She must be fucking amazing.
Yeah.
Because he's never wanted a partner.
Yes.
He's
Yeah.
like, we're rowing doubles.
Yeah.
And they're like, okay. And then
And
she
she's nervous
falls out.
because she also doesn't know how to swim.
No, but
he's,
she kills
worried.
it.
Yeah, she kills it. But he's worried because rowing with two, there's a higher chance that it'll flip. And so he's got this nervous energy about him while he's rowing, whatever.
And he doesn't tell her doubles is the hardest row to do. Worse than any other number of rowers.
Synchronization.
They're all marveling at her. And then her first sessions are a disaster. She doesn't tell him she can't swim at first. And Calvin explains she has the physics wrong, which leads her to read up on physics of rowing. And then she's obsessed. And the next session goes perfectly.
Because science. That's how her brain is wired.
Yes. Yeah, she just needed to know
I
the
hate
physics
it. I don't want
behind
to
it.
do it. I'm learning because you told me, and I'm a woman, so I guess I will, so I can prove to you that women
but
can.
I don't understand it. And now when you tell me the mechanical motions and the physics behind, I'm down.
Now,
I got this now.
It's all clicking
She's like,
into place.
I understand how this works.
And I'm going to kill it.
And I will be great at it.
Donati, which is Elizabeth's boss, denies her request to work on a biogenesis, claiming it exceeds her intellectual abilities.
Fuck Donati.
Donati, I've never been more mad at any person in a book ever. Man, well, that's close for sure.
I feel like I really need
Donati's
you guys
top
to
5.
videotape yourselves reading because the
I
emotions.
have. You've seen some.
No, I know, but I just
skimmed
need
the
more of
anger.
it. I need more of it.
Donati can't stand Elizabeth's intelligence, opinions, and unfaltering tenacity. And then he even talks about and now she's paired up with Calvin and he hates Calvin.
Oh, yeah. He can't stand fucking Calvin. And the only reason why he hired him was so he could be his supervisor.
And potentially get money, right? Because people will pay for the
But he
science
likes
he's
the
doing.
fact that he's a level
I'm the
above.
boss. I'm his boss, right? Yeah. Ugh. Donati can't stand Elizabeth. He tries to break her. Elizabeth tells Calvin not to get involved, but he does intervene.
And then doesn't tell her.
And then he thinks it's I've helped her. But really, it wasn't him helping her. Calvin approaches Dr. Mason, captain of the men's rowing team, who is an OB, and his friend, to request that he and Elizabeth join their team. And Dr. Mason has been wanting Calvin on his team. So now that Calvin's I'll join your team, but you have to take her too. Dr. Mason is skeptical, but he does allow it. And then Calvin thinks about one man he's sworn to hate until his dying day.
Because there was rumors about Calvin, that he is, he
Difficult.
holds a
Holds a
grudge.
grudge, yeah.
And he was no, I don't give a shit about anybody except a man.
Yeah.
This one man that'll hate until I
But it's
die.
in his head. He doesn't admit it, but in his head, he's there is one man I will never love, or never, I will always hate. So when he was 10 at the boys' home, he saw a man come to donate science materials. And then the bishop, shortly after that, told Calvin it was his biological father, and he just didn't want him, which is very sad.
And that's the man he hates.
That's the man he's sworn forever to hate.
And then we jump into chapters 10 to 18. Calvin has a pen pal named Wakely. Calvin confides in him about his biological father, and then Wakely stopped
Because he's like, I would kill him.
Yeah, I hate this man.
And Wakley's like, I don't know how to respond to that.
Yeah.
I am a priest, and I shouldn't be saying these things.
But he says so much. So fearing this reaction from Elizabeth, he's like, the one person I told about the man I hated, stop talking to me. So I can't tell Elizabeth because he is terrified the people that he loves
leave him,
or
yeah.
die. And so he's like, I don't want Elizabeth to leave me. And then the city creates this new, like, all dogs must be leashed laws. And Elizabeth buys a leash and she's like, leash 6:30 when you go out running. Because in this day, people only run or jog in front of the TV. Like, they do it inside. It's not an outdoor activity.
And there's like a guy he watches all the time when he works out. It's like Jack
LaLanne.
So instead of running in front and like when he's like, now let's run. He's like, I'm not going to run. I'm just going to go for a run. Thanks, Jack.
Yeah, thank you. So one day, Calvin decides to run to work. And Calvin dies that day due to a freak accident. So while he was jogging that day past the police station, which had poorly serviced cars due to budget cuts, a car backfires and the leashed 6:30 hears the noise, this loud booming noise, and he gets terrified. He tries to run the opposite direction of Calvin, and Calvin slips and falls and cracks his skull on the pavement. But that's not what does him in. He is then run over by the patrol car that backfired. Then the police rush to get an ambulance, but 6:30 is sensing it's too late. He's like, oh my God, Calvin is dying. Like, they're not going to get here in time. And he dies before the ambulance arrives. And then 6:30, like, shamefully heads home, so sad to go tell. Like, I have to tell Elizabeth what happened before the police come. So Elizabeth is devastated by Calvin's death, believing it was her fault for insisting on the leash. His funeral is packed, but she stands apart from the crowd, overcome with grief. It's just her and 6:30. She's approached by a reporter, and because she's on the outskirts, this reporter assumes she is just nobody. Then he's like, oh, I heard that he was an asshole and really hard to work with. And she makes a comment about, like, she makes a lot of, like, she says a whole little thing, but she, at one point in the middle, she says, I guess I didn't really know him. Like, how much could you know a person? Like, she's reflecting out loud. And then she heads to work the next day and is shocked to find that Calvin's lab is cleared out, a box of his personal things, and she finds a diamond. She's, like, digging through, and she finds a diamond ring that he had proposed to her with, like, he kept it. So Frask, the, like, head of personnel, she's a bitch. She finds Elizabeth and tells her she cannot legally take any of Calvin's things because they weren't married. You're just a bitch he was sleeping with. Sorry for you, Miss
I'm sure there's
Zott.
someone else that's rich you can probably sleep with next if you want me to find someone for you.
She's like, and Elizabeth has 6:30, and she's like, you can't bring that thing in here anymore. This is a laboratory. That was an exception we made for Calvin. So Frask shows Elizabeth the article. She's like, you didn't even like him. Look at this article that quoted you. But she was grossly misquoted about Calvin. And Elizabeth throws up, like, in front of Frask. And Frask is like, it's because you're pregnant, huh? You're feeling all these things. And Elizabeth's like, what are you talking about? After Calvin's death, Hastings benefactors are reevaluating their funding. The only capable scientist is Zott. But being a woman, they don't want to give her any major projects. In fact, they lied to the benefactor saying Elizabeth was a man. They were like, oh, Mr. Zott? Absolutely. So management then fires Elizabeth when they find out she's pregnant.
Yeah, that whole conversation was shitty.
She's like, well, what about the men who impregnate the women? And they're like, we don't care. That's not our problem. You were the one who got pregnant with your unworthy urging.
Well, and your sinful behavior because you're not married and all these things. She's like, you don't punish men.
Your poor child.
for-
But also Frask, even though she's a woman in the corporate world, is real shitty to her.
Yeah, she tries to be, like, along with the men. She's very much a pick-me girl at this point.
She circles back, though.
Eventually.
Yeah.
She's still a bitch right here, though. Elizabeth continues to teach 6:30 words, which they've been doing, and
This
she, like,
whole
keeps
time.
a record of how many words, like, over 600 or 300 words that he knows. He's been silently communicating to the unborn child, calling it creature. Elizabeth demos their whole kitchen and rebuilds it up like a laboratory. Stainless steel surfaces and beakers, and she has
Yeah.
this, like, intricate coiled device that she makes coffee in. And her old colleagues from Hastings start to visit her to gain insight on problems that they're experiencing in their research. And she's like, I need to make money, so I'm going to start charging you guys for helping you. Once she begins to show, she's berated with unsolicited advice from strangers. Eventually, she goes to Dr. Mason because he is an OBGYN. And I like Dr. Mason. He was truly a friend to her, and he's non-judgmental. And he is the first person to show her any empathy. He's also
the first person to say, I'm so sorry that Calvin died.
Yes.
Yeah, because nobody else has said anything.
No
And
one
to
has
not judge her for being pregnant and having
Unwed.
lost, and
Yes.
losing her husband and all the difficulties that she's going
Yeah,
through. He's
he's
the first one to acknowledge it.
Yes. So he's surprised and impressed to hear that she's still erging, and he invites her to row with the team again in a year. And he's like, in a year from now, you should be healed. You know, the baby will be old enough to be left alone for a little bit, and I want you to come back and row with the team. So 5 weeks later, heading to the library with 6:30, Elizabeth is complaining of hunger pains, but 6:30 knows it's early labor pains, and he's like kind of...
Yeah, I'm going to have to get this lady
Anxious.
to a hospital because I'm not losing two people I love.
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, I know.
13 hours later, Madeline is born. Elizabeth checks herself out of the hospital the next day.
But it's not Madeline.
It's mad.
Yes. But 6:30 is overwhelmed with joy meeting her, and that's quickly shattered when she starts to cry. He's like, oh, creature, you're perfect.
He even
And
notes the time. That,
yeah, it's like, it's 7:24, and that's your name because
Yes.
that's when I found you. That's how we name people in our family.
Yeah.
Elizabeth is overwhelmed by the newborn stage. She's visited by her
Aren't we
neighbor, Harriet Sloan, and who wanted to check on Elizabeth and the crying baby. And Harriet validates her feeling of early motherhood. She's like, oh, yeah, I felt that way when I had kids. Before she leaves, she advises Elizabeth to take a moment for herself every day. Harriet spied on Calvin and Elizabeth through their curtains since the beginning of their relationship. Almost not, 'cause she's
creepy way,
older.
necessarily.
No, but she was like so excited that they had this relationship that was of equals. Like that, not very much different than the one that she has.
Yeah, 'cause she has a shitty relationship.
Harriet's own marriage is an unhappy one, and Elizabeth explains how Madeline got her name. After delivery, Elizabeth mistook the nurse asking how she felt when the nurse was asking for the baby's name, and Elizabeth responded mad, which that was now on the birth certificate. So legally, she's mad.
Yeah.
Yeah, which was like she was mad because Calvin isn't here. Calvin died. She's mad because
He
the
left
baby
her
won't
with
stop
his baby.
crying, and she's doing this on her own, and she's a woman in a man's world, and I'm pissed. I'm mad.
Yeah. 4 days after Harriet's visit, Elizabeth finally works up the nerve to call her, and Harriet has been waiting by the phone and like checking through the window, and she comes right over.
And so then we go into My Chumps, chapters 19 through 27. Madeline grows up, encouraged to experiment and explore. She just like lets her kind of roam and do her own thing because she knows how important it is for her development. And 6:30 and Harriet keep her safe. I mean, she's literally like climbing on tables and like jumping off things. And Harriet's like, oh, Jesus Christ. Like, how do we keep this child from killing herself? And
Which, same.
Yeah, right. Aren't we all doing that? Dr. Mason visits a year after delivery to check on Elizabeth, and he asks her to row again, and Harriet volunteers to watch Mad. He's like, it's time. It's been a year. Like, are you ready to come?
Early in the morning.
Like, and that's what Harriet tells her. She's like, you know what? Like, you row really early. Like, she's going to be asleep anyways. Like, just
I'll
take
just
this
come
time
over.
and I'll come over and it'll be fine. And she secretly is like hoping that she'll accept her help because she wants to get out of the house and have a
Yeah.
purpose, right? When Mad is almost 4, Elizabeth enrolls her in school by changing her birth date on her birth certificate because she's so smart. She should be in school already, but she's obviously not of age. So they falsify her paperwork.
She's also trying to get her like socialized. She's like, she's
She
very
needs
smart.
it.
She could do all the things.
Yes.
She needs some socialization with
I
other
think
people.
Harriet, pushes her a little too.
Yeah.
Like, she needs to play with some kids her own age.
Yeah.
So then Madeline is physically bigger than most 5-year-olds because she's eating like a beast. And
Well, and Calvin was a very large
man,
man.
yeah. Yes.
So he is
Obviously.
biologically bigger. And so
Yes.
it plays into her being older.
so she's much bigger than these 5-year-olds, and she's reading at a 6th grade level.
Which is wild. But apparently so was the author of this book. So.
Yeah, seriously.
Elizabeth is struggling financially, and she goes back to Hastings to ask for a job because she's like, I need money. I have this kid. I'm trying to raise my family, and I need to work. So Donati agrees only to bring her back because the abiogenesis investor is back, and he's demanding to see Zott's work. He's like, okay, we've got this funding. Nobody can do it. So you know what? I will give you a job.
And it's like lower entry level job than what you started at.
And
or
she's
something.
like, what are you talking about? I'm the only one that can do this work and you're not going to pay me for it?
Yeah.
But she takes it because she needs money. So Donati asks to see all of the work she's done on the abiogenesis. And then he explains she will be a lab tech, not a chemist. And she's pissed. She runs into Frask in the bathroom and they have a verbal altercation and they discover they were both sexually assaulted by their thesis advisors. And then they kind of have like a little bit of a moment of camaraderie because they're like,
Oh shit! Like
we both kind of have gone through the same thing and we're being taken advantage of. So on Madeline's first day of school, the teacher, Mrs. Mudford,
this bitch too.
Right.
sends a note. There's so many
I do think
social...
like it's also part of the
time.
time.
The time.
Which
But,
is
like,
what... So Mrs. Mudford sends a note home asking to see Elizabeth. A few weeks into her job, Elizabeth asks Frask for more info on the abiogenesis investor, and after Frask is fired for gaining weight because they tell her that she needed to lose weight, and instead of losing weight, she gained it, and they fired her. She takes Elizabeth to all of Calvin's things and then lets her kind of go through it and says, here's all the stuff.
Could you imagine if a man was like, we have to let you go because
The
you've
HR
put on
nightmares that are in this book.
seriously, because you've put on too much weight,
Yes.
because you're pregnant and making us look bad, because you're having a kid out of wedlock, because you're like all the things that she's dealing with is like, what?
So at KCTV, Walter Pine is worried about how to fill the empty afternoon slot because now they have a 4 o'clock slot that needs to be filled.
Because it was filled by a clown and it didn't do very well. So
No.
now they got to fill it.
So he's at risk of being fired if he doesn't do something. So he remembers Elizabeth and her like magnetism, and she was so charismatic and it really like drew his attention. So he's like, maybe this will work. So at the same time, Elizabeth discovers that Donati stole and published her research. He put it in as his own name and that it was his
Motherfucker.
own.
He says like, yeah, we've done
Stuff.
some things. We're going to probably publish a little something like
Yes.
just to stay relevant.
And
It's
puts
nothing
it
crazy.
under-
It's nothing important.
Then he takes all of her research that she
And she
supplied
reads
him.
it. She's like, this is huge stuff that I discovered.
Yes. She confronts him and ends up quitting. She's pissed.
Ooh, and she does it in like such a fulfilling way, right? Like,
So Harriet tells Elizabeth that Walter keeps calling. And Madeline has also brought home a note from Mrs. Mudford, and Mrs. Mudford dislikes Amanda and Madeline. And so this particular note complained about how Madeline has been requesting books by Vladimir Nabokov from the librarian, and she's like, we don't have these books and 5-year-olds don't read them.
Yeah,
so
these are
and
not
she's, like,
appropriate
irritated.
for a child. What are you doing to have this child request these crazy, ridiculous books that
Yes.
I obviously have never read?
Right. Madeline tells Elizabeth that she doesn't like the school, and she asks if they are poor. And Elizabeth remembers some of Calvin's correspondence that she had found in the boxes that Frask had given her. So she's like, why would you ask you for poor? Like, no, mom's got to work and we make money, but we're not poor. Maybe don't have a lot,
Yeah.
but we're also not poor. So Elizabeth found a number of offers from prestigious universities that offered them a lot of money to go work for them. But Calvin had chosen Hastings, which had the worst offer in terms of pay by far by any of them.
And that was because of Donati. He was like, oh, this guy wants to come. Here's my shit offer, motherfucker.
Yes, but he only took this terrible offer because Wakely had once written that Commons, California, where Hastings is located, has the best weather in the world.
was perfect for rowing.
And he was like, hell yeah, that's where I want to row.
Yeah.
So he took this awful, paying job just because he wanted to have a place with good weather, which isn't that California for you. So she also finds a correspondence from various people claiming to be long lost family because he's a famous scientist. So everybody's now reaching out thinking he's going to give them money.
But there's one woman who's offering him money.
Yes, and she's claiming to be Calvin's biological mother and offering him money for his research. Walter calls again during dinner, and he tells Elizabeth his idea for a cooking show that she should host. And while Elizabeth hates the idea, she does consider it since it's being proposed to pay her well, and she needs that money. So Walter's boss, Phil Lebensmall, wants Elizabeth to look sexy for TV and instructs her to make a cocktail at the end of every episode. He wants her to wear this like tight dress. It's got like a, small waist and all these things. And she wants to wear a lab coat. But she rejects all of his idea, and Walter explains her role in entertainment. He tells her, like, this is an important time slot. You don't understand.
There's the sleepy time, and then her show comes on right when everyone's waking up. So she
Yes.
needs to bring them to life and entertain them.
Yes, and he kind of explains to her, like, the entertainment world and why we're asking you to do these things. And he is empathetic to Elizabeth's loss and reveals he's not Amanda's biological father. So they start to bond over the fact that Mrs. Mudford dislikes both of their children. And Walter finally agrees to Elizabeth wearing clothes from her own closet because she's pushing, fine, I won't wear a lab coat, but I'm going to wear my own stuff.
She shows up in like pants on her
Yes,
first day
a
recording, and he's like, God damn it, Elizabeth.
Yes.
Yeah.
So on the first day of live recording, Elizabeth calls the set revolting. She's completely ignores the cue cards. She's like, why is there all this shit on the counter? So they have cue cards, obviously, and she ignores them. And women viewers are kind of taken aback by Elizabeth, and Levinsmall is furious and yells at Walter after the show, threatening to cancel it entirely because she's not listening at all. Her show brings in a number of phone calls from people asking to clarify the shopping list because Elizabeth asks for like zodium zincite or something.
She gives the scientific name
for salt.
For salt and for vinegar.
Yes.
And they're like, what was that last ingredient? And so she's like helping answer phones, and she's like, oh, it's vinegar.
Yes.
She's like, I should say that. She's like, did you like the shopping list, Walter? I thought it was a great idea to give them a list for the next episode. And
Yeah.
she's like, please get out, Elizabeth.
And she really has great ideas, but it's like so far out of what they want that they're just pissed about it.
Yes.
So the other show Walter had aired never brought in a single phone call. So he's a little bit of his like, it's kind of working, but also
Yeah.
you're not listening.
Yeah.
Like, can you help me out here, Elizabeth?
Yes.
The things that people are calling is because they didn't understand what the list was, not because they were pissed off about the list, right?
Yeah, they're excited. They want to participate.
Yes.
They just need to know what that means.
Yeah.
There's no Google here for them to look it up.
Seriously.
Right.
So 15 days into broadcasting, Walter is exhausted because she's literally going awry in every single episode.
And he keeps getting yelled at.
Yes,
Yeah.
Leventhal's
Yeah.
pissed. He keeps
Yeah.
telling him, like, fix it or I'll fire you all.
Yeah.
So Elizabeth continues doing her own thing on set, and Walter brings in a live audience to help her see how boring her methods are.
Because he really thinks when she's in there and not like crickets are going to happen from these people, maybe that'll make it click. Like she needs to follow my direction.
Yes.
And
Oh,
it
Walter.
definitely does not go that way.
No.
And so she asserts the cooking is chemistry and urges her viewers to take risks and ends the show with her iconic sign off, children, set the table. Your mother needs a moment to herself.
Oh.
And while the
we
show is taped, Walter imagines his own funeral because he's like, God damn it, she didn't listen again.
He starts to like black out. Like I'm just
going to die here. I'm going to die. I'm having a heart attack. Like,
It's like, I'm going to lose my job. Everybody's losing their job. I don't know what to
and then,
do.
like when he comes to, he's like surrounded by like Elizabeth and someone else, and they're like, "Are you okay? Are you having a heart attack? Do we need to call an ambulance?" Like
The like secretary lady,
Yes.
she's so funny. So Elizabeth gives him the spinach casserole because she's like, you need to just go home and eat.
You
So
need
like
to
they
eat
just
something.
made it.
Here's
Anything?
the
Yeah.
casserole I made. Go put it in the oven at 400 degrees for X amount of time
Yes.
or whatever.
And he's like, oh, Amanda doesn't like spinach. But then he's like, Amanda ate that whole fucking casserole
Yeah.
dish.
Yeah.
Well, when he goes home and cooks it, he's like, it was the best casserole dish I have ever had.
Yes.
And so in May of 1961, Miss Mudford assigns the class a family tree assignment.
She's a nosy hoe.
And Harriet is displeased with the assignment, correctly dividing it as Mrs. Mudford's being nosy. She's like, you know what? She just really wants to know about your history. It has nothing to do with trying to do an actual assignment.
Yeah,
Yeah.
she just wants to see because your mom isn't married, never was.
She wants to know.
She wants to know who your family is.
Yes.
Yeah.
So Harriet finds that a number of Mad's classmates bring leftovers of the same dishes Elizabeth cooks on the show. Madeline worries that she doesn't know enough about her father to fill in the family tree. So frustrated by Mad's question, Harriet gives up and takes Madeline to the library. She's like, I can't give you the answers to this, but let's go to the library and take a look.
Let's go research.
So then we go into chapters 28 through 36. Madeline asks the librarian for help finding the address of a boys' home in Iowa. Wakely is also at the library and overhears the conversation. He helps Madeline track down the home, and they discuss how Wakely finds his job difficult sometimes and explains the difference between secret and private. to Madeline.
Because he asks her, like, well, how old are you? And she's like, well, that's private information.
Yes. Yeah.
And he's like, you are right, actually, and I'm sorry.
He is now, like, he is a priest or pastor overseeing a church, and he talks about how like he kind of has to lie a lot in his profession, and she's like, but you're a pastor, isn't that a sin, right? Like, don't you believe? So they have some really good conversations about religion and science and how the two can marry to each other or whatever. And then so there's only a phone number listed for the All Saints Boys Home when they're going through all of this. Wakely offers to call and is astonished to find her dad is Calvin Evans, which was his pen pal from long ago. Wakely and Calvin began their pen pal relationship after a conference they attended at Harvard. Mad showed Wakely a family photo, and it's from like she's like, this is the only photo I could find where we're all in it, and it's of her dad's funeral. Yeah, because she's like, I'm in my mom's belly, and my dad is in the box, and even 6:30 is in the photo because that's part of her family too. And Matt explains she was in Elizabeth's womb at the time. So on an episode of the show, Elizabeth explains different kinds of chemical bonds before making chicken pot pie. Elizabeth continued. I want to try some of her recipes, honestly.
But she want to make chicken pot pie. I haven't made that in a while.
Oh, I don't think I've ever made it. But she talks about the science, about like how the chemistry within the vegetable comes out during cooking and how it enhances the flavor and all the things. And she really gives like the backstory about it all.
So Elizabeth continues to discard every suggestion that Walter makes. Elizabeth takes a question from the audience. The women and Elizabeth go back and forth, revealing that she dreamt. This is like a really beautiful moment because I think some of it, like Elizabeth is almost responding to Walter's criticisms in a way like, well, you think that women don't want this, but as a woman, I would want this. So let's talk to people. Let's see what they're saying.
Oh,
right?
and he's pissed.
And
like,
he's
do
like,
not
don't talk to the audience.
Answer questions.
Yes.
Like, you are going to ruin us with your responses.
Yes. And so she starts talking to this woman, and the woman and Elizabeth are going back and forth. And then the woman in the audience reveals that she used to dream of becoming an open heart surgeon, expecting like people to laugh. She's like, right? And Elizabeth is like,
Dead face. Like,
go back to
your
school.
dreams.
Why
Why don't you
haven't
go?
you?
Yeah. What a wonderful thing. We have a future doctor in the house, people.
And she has like the whole audience applauds for her.
Yeah, like all the women are just like so encouraged. Like, oh my God, this is beautiful.
Yes. And so Elizabeth encourages her to pursue her dreams and then gives her the chicken pot pie to support her fearless future.
And I think women tend to really buy into her because she's clearly smart.
Yes.
And she's teaching them things. And they're just like, she is not talking
like,
down
you are
to me.
capable.
Yes.
You are more than capable of making this dinner.
Yes.
You are capable of doing more than just making this dinner.
Yes.
You're a freaking awesome woman. You've birthed children most likely. You're running a whole household. You are already a boss ass bitch.
Yes.
Go out there and own it.
They're loving it because they're feeling like they're not being brought to what the social norms are,
like
right?
this,
Yes.
right? Like
Nobody's
nobody
talking to them like they're
treats
capable,
them like
intelligent
they're worth
humans.
anything. Yeah.
Yes.
Which is why that woman, when she's like an open heart surgery, she's like, what a
Isn't that
ridiculous
hilarious?
dream.
Like, why would I have dreamt of doing
and when
that?
she's like, that's great. You should do that. She's like,
you should go to medical school. Like, go to school. It's never too late.
yeah.
Yes.
Yes.
She's like, your kids are grown now.
Why wouldn't you?
Why you have the time? Do it.
Yes. So Miss Mudford calls Elizabeth about the inappropriate family photo that Matt brought in. Harriet tells Elizabeth that the Reverend from First Presbyterian called asking for Mad, as well as a LA Times reporter wanting to interview her. Elizabeth doesn't want to do the interview. Because the last time she did the interview, it was when Calvin passed away, and she said things like, I didn't know him well at all, meaning she didn't know him because there was so much life to be lived. Who knows who he could have been? I didn't get to know him as much as I wanted to get to know him.
Yeah.
But she just said, I didn't know him well enough. So she's like, I don't want to do this. I don't want to do an interview. I don't want to be misquoted again. Walter calls to commiserate with Elizabeth about Amanda being in trouble about the family tree assignment.
She got in trouble too.
Yes. So he also tells her Levin Small is not happy with how the show is going. He wanted to do all these changes. You're not doing them. They want her to use a sponsor's can of soup. Like,
Fit this into the recipe.
Yes, we have a can of soup. Fit it in. She wants to meet Levin Small, to face him face to face, but Walter's like, no, you cannot meet him.
Do not ever go in there without me.
Yes. And I think the way it sounds is like you can't handle it, but it's like, no, he's gonna do something that
Yeah, Walter felt like he was
Protecting her.
Yes, it was a protective maneuver. Like, I don't want you in there with him.
and she was taking it like, because I'm a woman, I can't
Yes.
handle myself.
Yes.
The work gets steadily worse, and Mrs. Mudford is gossiping about Madeline being born out of wedlock and that Amanda doesn't have a mother. Elizabeth learns she is making significantly less than others at KCTV and is not allowed to participate in profit sharing
Because she's a woman.
Harriet is injured when her husband throws a beer bottle at her. He's a real shitty husband. And like the things that she tells herself is, I have to stay here because that's what women do. I have to stay in this shitty relationship. I married this man.
I gotta ride it out until this motherfucker dies.
My husband wants to sleep with me and I've got to just let him do it, even though I'm not potentially prepared and like,
I'm not interested and I don't want to, but this is the choice I made because I got married.
And I just have to stay quiet about it.
Ew. No, you don't.
Yeah. So Elizabeth, and he's drinking more and more and more. He's watching more and more porn, and he gets drunk, throws a beer bottle at her. Elizabeth is furious about it, but Harriet does not allow her to call the police, insisting she can handle it on her own. The events of the week propel Elizabeth to insult the soup sponsor on television.
Like,
Maybe
she's
you
like,
have someone
this
who's-
is a toxic mushroom. Notice the fanning underneath and like, and how women need to be paid the same whatever as men. And she's like, so anyways, tonight we're making broccoli mushroom casserole.
So Levinsmall asks to see Elizabeth at 7 p.m. He's pissed because she just ruined the sponsorship
The one
stuff.
sponsorship
Yes.
that they do have.
She's warned not to go alone, but
But like,
Elizabeth ignores
Walter
the
walked
warning.
away. Like, when she throws the can of soup in the thing, he's like,
I'm out.
I gotta go.
Yeah, so he doesn't even know that Levinsmall asked to see her. She goes to see him. She sits down. He tries to intimidate her, and he's yelling at her. And then when that doesn't work, he says, anyone working at Supper at 6 is fired. And she's like, literally everyone that you're firing, everyone?
You're like, you know, they work on other shows
Other
too,
shows,
right?
yeah.
That doesn't seem right to fire everyone. You'd have nobody running your other shows.
And then it's like, okay, what you're saying makes sense, but he's not gonna budge, right? And he gets more upset. And in a final attempt to dominate her, he starts unbuttoning his pants and thrusting his genitals in her face. And Elizabeth just calmly pulls out this large ass chef's knife from her bag. And at the sight, Levinsmall faints.
And has a heart
He
attack.
has a heart attack.
Because no woman has ever stood up to him, and his freaking weak little body
Yes.
couldn't handle a little
Well, he
conflict.
had dick in her face, and she's like,
I'm about to
that off.
slice this off if you don't back it up. And then
the way
he's
that
like,
the book says it, right? Like, because it's between chapters. At the end of the chapter, like, she pulled out a knife, and then it like ends, and the next chapter is like, he was in the hospital, or like he's going to the hospital, and you're like, oh my god, what did she do to him?
Yeah.
And then she's like, I didn't have to do anything. I just pulled out the knife, and he had a heart attack, and it worked out in my favor.
Yeah.
But I would have cut off that little dick.
yeah.
But because of the heart attack, he'll be out of work for the next year. So Walter, who's all frazzled, and he's like,
what are we gonna do?
yes, oh my gosh. And then Elizabeth found syndication and a new sponsorship. Okay, so she found a bag with all this documentation saying
Of
that
how great the show
yes,
is.
that everyone loves it and all these people want to buy it.
But Walter
And
is just spiraling like, I don't have a job. I don't have, like, we're all
he
fired.
said that we're all fired. Oh my god, what am I gonna do? Like,
Elizabeth's like, he's gone, motherfucker.
she's like, Walter,
You're the big bitch.
you get to take his job.
And check out all these stats that I have for you. We're
Yes.
clearly killing it.
Yes, we have new sponsorship offers for the show. We're not just going to be a local cooking show anymore.
We're
going-
syndicated.
Yes. So Walter becomes the acting producer, and Elizabeth's simple advice is to just do the right thing. So Harriet takes Madeline out of school to visit the Supper at 6 set. They are amazed at the crowd waiting, like in line to get in to see the show since 4 a.m. And then Madeline, who's supposed to be lying, right? That we're trying to sneak in because mom doesn't want you to come see the show, but we're going to try and sneak in. Madeline's like, excuse me, hi, I'll let my mom know that she needs to do something different or whatever, right? And he's like, who's your mom? Oh my gosh, you should come right in. I can't believe you're sitting out here.
Yeah.
They're ushered into the front row. She's full of pride watching her mom, but then jealousy creeps in when she thinks about sharing her with other people. At the end of the episode, Elizabeth answers the audience's question, and she reveals she's an atheist. Walter begins to get threats from sponsors and viewers.
Because they loved her up until she was godless.
Now she doesn't have God, yeah. And the world is a godly world.
It is a very Christian world at the time.
Yeah.
I mean, it still kind of is.
Yeah, but not as
Not as severe.
judgmental if you're
Not-
atheist.
Not as severe.
I think the world is more open. I don't know. I guess I shouldn't say the world, but U.S. has definitely become more open. Wakely's struggling with his own face, and he finds his new typist, which is Frask, watching Supper at 6. Frask tells Wakely she used to work with Elizabeth until they both got fired from Hastings. He questions Madeline about her mom, and they talk about his many attempts to contact All Saints. The secretary tells him there is no record of Calvin Evans. The bishop at All Saints remembers struggling to secure long-term funding when a man named Wilson arrived from the Parker Foundation and was looking for Calvin Evans and wanted to take the boy back with him. The bishop lied that Calvin died. So, like, the bishop was pissed off at Calvin. Calvin was like, he didn't believe in God and he wanted science and he always fought everything that the bishop was saying. He was like, that boy is just a problem. And so he was pissed off. And this guy comes up and he's like, I'm looking for Calvin Evans. And he's like, he died.
Oh, because he was going to come and take him.
He was going to come and take him.
And so he lied. He's like, oh, yeah, we have Calvin Evans here. And so when he's like, okay, I'm going to come back and take him, he's like, actually, he got sick and passed away. But how great.
The world shouldn't have Calvin Evans in it.
And he's like, oh, so.
I don't want him to get everything he wants and go to this rich boy or rich man. And
yes. And now he's gone. But, it would be great to set up a fund in his name.
Yeah. So instead of taking him and spending all your money on him, raising him, give us the money. Wakely tries a different tactic because he's trying to call and get information about Calvin Evans. And he tells the secretary that he's a donor, but can only give it to the home that housed Calvin Evans. And then he finds out the truth. What's crazy is, like, I have all this money, but I have to give it to the home. And he's like, well, you have many other boys. And he's like, I don't care. This is what I have to give it to. Do you know where Calvin Evans is? And he's like, okay, fine. He was here.
Well, because eventually when Calvin gets on, like, the cover of a science magazine, the foundation calls him and was like, he's alive, you motherfucker.
And they stop paying for it.
Yes.
Yeah, it's like the bishop is just an asshole. And he's still there. He's still the one. And he's like, don't tell this man that Calvin Evans ever used to be here. I don't want anything to do with him. He's ruined our lives.
We know we're scraping by now because I lied about him dead.
Yeah, and it's everyone else's fault but my own why this place is going to shit. So one of Elizabeth's guests asks for diet tips. And Elizabeth suggests rowing as a form of exercise instead. And then when Elizabeth goes to the boathouse, it's crowded with women. And, like, the guy, I don't remember his name, but the
Dr.
doctor,
Mason.
Yeah, he's, like, all pissed off. Like, you could have warned us. You could have talked to us about it. You didn't think this was going to happen? Like,
she was like,
there's no room on the boat for you anymore.
Didn't think that I would cause such
like,
an
no
outpour
idea.
for the sport.
And he was like, I've been telling he was upset. He's like, I've been telling my wife for years to come and row with me.
Yes.
And he's like, and you say it once on TV, and now she's here.
Yeah, now she's here. There she is. At the same time, picketers are turning up outside of KCTV.
Because she's a godless woman.
Walter is worried because death threats have started. He's starting to get nervous.
He doesn't tell her, but he's getting threats for her.
Yes.
So 6:30 is worried and walks to the station. He notices a non-clapper in the audience. Those damn non-clappers.
He's like, everyone's clapping except that woman.
Yes.
He's such a smart dog.
He's a very smart
cool.
dog.
I know.
So because 6:30 is nervous about this non-clapper, he's got, like, suspicions. He's like, I'm going to go down and I'm going to warn Elizabeth. And he, like, walks down and instantly becomes an audience favorite. Everyone loves him. And Elizabeth loves him and asks him to, like, get things. And so he's still on this high alert for the non-clapper. Walking the audience, he picks up a familiar scent and removes a bag, taking it to security. And they find the dynamite inside.
He's a bomb dog. He found the bomb.
Bomb-ass dog, and he's a bomb-sniffing dog.
Bomb.
Bomb at a bomb.
And he finds it. This bitch was going to blow her up. Elizabeth is approached to do an interview with Life magazine, but again, she turns it down. Walter and Harriet have grown closer, and he asks for her help to convince Elizabeth that she should do the interview. Franklin Roth from Life arrives to do the interview and quickly feels that Elizabeth is forced and stops.
Forced to
do the interview.
She clearly doesn't want it, and I don't want to interview someone who doesn't want to be interviewed.
Yeah.
And so he stops, and then Elizabeth stops him.
He's leaving, and he's like about to walk through security, and she like chases after him at the set.
Yeah. And she's like, wait, okay, let's talk. I'll be real. So she invites him to her home. She shares her lab, her erg, and abiogenesis research. After gaining trust, they talk about her and Calvin's story.
It takes her a minute, but she finally starts to come around.
She's like, okay, I'm going to trust this guy because he
seems to be
like
authentic.
And he really wants to share my story. And okay, I'll tell you all the things. And the questions he's asking are very smart. And then she opens up and tells him all the things.
And then we jump into chapters 37 to 45. Elizabeth describes her and Calvin as soulmates. She reveals that Donati stole her research and what happened to her at UCLA. Elizabeth also opens up about her family and Calvin's life in childhood. Roth refuses to write about her personal information and does like a story about abiogenesis instead. The published,
I'm not going to give you all the dirt. I'm going to write a real story in life about your success and what you've been through.
He even says something like he went back to his editor and the editor's like, "Where's the dirt?" And he's like, "There is none."
Yeah.
Like she's perfect.
Yes.
He submits this article about abiogenesis and the editor's like, "Yeah, bro, we're not doing that."
This is not the type of story we want to tell.
So they publish this altered article and it talks about her attractiveness and has quotes from her prisoned father, Dr. Myers, Miss Mudford, and Donati, who quotes as like, "Oh yeah, she's a hoot. Around here we call her Luscious Lizzie." Ew. The magazine sells out in 24 hours. Elizabeth is hurt by Roth's betrayal and refuses to take his calls. He's trying to call and apologize, like, "That's not what I wrote.
I didn't write that."
But she doesn't want anything to do with him. The depression she feels leads to her baking brownies multiple days a row on the show. And she's like, "Sometimes when I'm sad, I like to bake brownies. So today we're making brownies again."
And she does it all week long.
Yes. So one evening, Harriet steps out, leaving Matt alone. Wakely arrives, and before he can leave, Elizabeth comes home early and learns from Wakely that Roth wrote a different article. Roth had left an envelope a few days earlier, and Mad read it and took it to Wakely for some help. Wakely had been out, so she left it with his secretary, Frask, and
Who also read it.
she's a nosy hoe. An unaccompanied note from Roth is an apology. He has quit Life magazine and has been trying to get this article that he wrote about her published. Wakely also suggests that Elizabeth may know his typist. She's like, "You might know her, Frask."
Well, and he put the article in this note. Like, here's the actual article that I wrote. Like, this is the one I'm trying to get published, but all the places are turning it down.
Yes.
Even like Science Today or whatever the
And that's
article
like
was.
all the places he's sending it to. Like, get this out of here. And
Nobody wants it. 2 days earlier, when Madeline visited Wakely, Frask recognized her as Calvin's daughter, and Frask told her about her history with Elizabeth, described how in love her parents had been, and then slipped that Elizabeth was fired. And, you know, your mom was fired when she was pregnant with you because she was pregnant with you.
so now Mad's like, "It's my fault."
Yeah, it's my fault.
fault
She
that she
didn't
got
get to be
fired.
a scientist because of me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So Elizabeth announces her retirement from the show. She had driven to Walter's the previous evening and discovered Harriet there as well. Walter and Harriet are in a relationship and were keeping it quiet until her divorce came through. Elizabeth thanks her audience and gives updates from the housewife who dreamed of becoming a surgeon. She had finished her MCATs and was going to school.
Yeah, it was so cool.
Walter writes up a cue card, and this is the one cue card that she reads.
Yes.
She's like, "This concludes your introduction to chemistry. Class dismissed." Despite the success of the show, Elizabeth has not received a single offer from a university, and she's dumbfounded. She's like, "Clearly, I know science."
Yeah.
Harriet informs Elizabeth that the head of personnel at Hastings has called for her, Miss Frask. Elizabeth's like, "You have that wrong. Frask works for Wakely."
She got fired when I did. Like,
And
I know
she's the
that.
head of personnel?
Yeah, right.
Absolutely not.
Yeah, so Elizabeth calls back, and Frask congratulates her on the article, asking her to come in as soon as possible. The abiogenesis investor is back. She's like, "What are we talking about?"
Yeah.
So Harriet sent Roth's unpublished article to Vogue, and they published it. Elizabeth's face is on the cover, and Frask takes Elizabeth to Calvin's old lab where the investors have insisted they meet. Wilson and Avery Parker are waiting. Elizabeth declines their offer and turns to leave. And then Donati arrives, shocked to see Elizabeth, Frask, and Avery. And Wilson, who's now Frask's lawyer, informs Donati he's fired. And he's like, "We own you now. You're done." And
Like, I own 55% or something like that of the company. So you're out.
they're having him sign paperwork. And Elizabeth's like, "You're just not intelligent enough for the task, Donati." So the foundation did some investigating and now has majority ownership of Hastings. They made Frask head of personnel, and Elizabeth is being offered Donati's old job as the director of chemistry. And I think at one point when they wrote that smutty article about Elizabeth in Life, women were writing in, and Frask was one of the women. And then they published some of those letters, and that's how Avery Parker got a hold of Frask. So Avery and Wilson reiterate their offer to Elizabeth and discuss upgrading the lab. Wilson also mentions Calvin's unfinished work, and Elizabeth thinks Wilson is Calvin's blood relative and turns icy. Like, you're the man he hated. I don't want anything to do.
I read the letters to Wakely, and
you left him.
You abandoned him.
She thinks he's there to steal Calvin's research, and then Avery asks to speak to her alone. Avery tells her the story of a 17-year-old girl who got pregnant out of wedlock. Her parents sent her away, and she was pressured constantly to sign away her baby. She refused, and during birth was given a sedative. When she came to, she was told her baby was a stillborn. 10 years later, she found out she had a son who had been adopted by a family who then died. His parents died by the train, and then he was given to his aunt, and then she passed away. So Avery is Calvin's biological mother and has been searching for him. And she's the one who was sending the letters like, let me fund your research. And he was like, this bitch is a crazy one.
Well, she was also the one funding his all
science
school,
yes.
and because she thought he was dead.
Before Avery and Wilson could approach Calvin, he passed away. As Elizabeth breaks down, asserting that she loved Calvin with all her heart, Elizabeth asks about Calvin's biological father, and Avery says he passed away of tuberculosis before Calvin was born. So Avery wants to learn more about Calvin and be a part of Elizabeth's family, and Elizabeth's like, well, you already are family.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So before Avery leaves, Elizabeth invites them over for supper at 6. She invites Walter, Harriet, Madeline, and 6:30, and upon their departure, Elizabeth and 6:30 begin working together in the lab, researching her abiogenesis research.
Ooh, ooh.
And they
She
have a
done
family
it.
now.
Yes.
Yeah,
so
now
cute.
their family grew by 2.
Yeah.
But I think it starts to feel like this is a real family. Like, Harriet is my family.
Yes.
And Walter is becoming a part of my family.
Like,
and
she
now
has these like
two other
inappropriate
people.
conversations. Like, she treats Walter almost like a brother.
Yes,
and
yeah,
she's
sure.
like, oh, you don't have sex, Walter? Like, there are needs and this. And he's like, I don't, like, this is
And
inappropriate.
she
She's
comes
like,
at it from like a science
Yes.
perspective, and he's like, biologically, your body needs to have
Yeah.
a release, and
blah, blah, blah. And she's like, Walter,
it's natural.
it's science.
Yes. We rate our books on a 3-shot system. 1 shot is I'm not coming back for more. 2 shots, it's good enough for another, but not worth the hangover. And 3 shots is it got me up.
On it.
Yeah.
Oh,
Professional.
You guys are
We bleed
such
out all the curse words.
dorks.
clean as fuck. What?
Oh my God.
Okay,
We
this
are.
is Rox's pick, so she gets to go first.
Yeah. So I'm going to give it 3 shots because I think it like hit all the feels. It was entertaining. I was entertained the whole time, and I liked it. Great job, Bonnie.
Yeah, so I think I'm going to give it 3 shots too. I was on the fence, but I did really like it. I think actually the women empowerment of a book will you'll
Suck you in every time?
You will win me over. I'm like, yes, women, we are great.
Yes, I will second that emotion. I was borderline too, but the women empowerment and the story and her pushing through all of the barriers, even like when they were trying to intimidate her and she wouldn't let them, I was like, yeah, fuck them up.
Yeah.
Get them, Miss Zott.
Also, I did really like Bonnie's writing.
Yeah,
I thought it was well
She's a
written.
good storyteller.
It was,
for sure.
it was, even though it covered a lot of death and a lot of dark stuff, it was still very light and engaging.
Yeah.
I liked her
do
writing style.
want to watch the
Yeah.
Same.
Apple series.
Yes.
All right, well, that's a wrap on this episode of Literature on the Rocks. We spent time with lessons in chemistry where science, resilience, and one unforgettable chemist reminded us that changing the world often starts with refusing to accept the status quo. The prompts are posted now, so go answer them before next week's book club. And make sure you're subscribed because we're here for you every Wednesday.
Yeah, this episode reminded you that it's never too late to chase a dream, question the rules, or rewrite the story someone else tried to write for you. We'd love it if you'd rate and review the podcast. It helps us keep sharing the books that inspire meaningful conversations long after the final page.
Science may explain how the world works, but Lessons in Chemistry reminds us who gets to change it. Follow Atlet on the Rock. Exactly. Follow Atlet on the Rocks Pod on Instagram and TikTok, and visit literatureontherocks.com.
Until next time, may you know your value, speak your truth, and never underestimate the power of 1 or 3 determined women. Cheers!
Toodaloo.
Bye.